pillars of our supervisory thing, like our capital, liquidity, governance, and resolution and recovery. So people are asking questions that what has failed and what we are doing and what we are not doing. Because of that, the banks, one after one from banks, then you have a NBFCs, then you have the cooperative banks. It is spreading across and is creating again a lot of problems in public understanding. That where are those issues, the way it is being right now addressed, as Ilaji said, that we need to rethink on supervisory part also. Is that something which you think requires some sort of changes to address this issue before it happens rather than after it happens?
What has happened so far clearly indicates that there had been some recklessness on the side of the players, and somehow the regulatory mechanism also had failed, for that matter, to that extent. We all have read that recently RBI has set up a separate division for supervising the regulated entities, say NBFCs particularly, and they are going to follow up even the banks after the PMC, etc. So basically, it's a kind of an indirect admission that yes, they have also not been able to do that kind of supervision and regulation as was really required. And naturally, there is a failure on the part of the institutions also who have indulged in some of the activities which are undesirable. But I would say that banking is only a part of the whole ecosystem. It's a small part. As Dr. Sharma was talking about, even the export or the import substitution, etc. There are too many things which have to go into it to really match the import prices. Like in China, you see the price of the electricity at which they get, price of the natural resources, raw material at which they get, price of the labor, which has now little gone up there, but otherwise what's the price? Interest rate is just a small component. In fact, even the taxes for that matter. What is the kind of tax structure which is there and what we have? So all these things have to be seen holistically. Then only we can think of that kind of huge 5 trillion or 10 trillion economy dream. Otherwise, it will just remain a dream.
Shishirji, change is changing, right? And it's changing faster than it's ever before. So, and the biggest change I see sitting here in banking sector is a digital disruption. Is the time has come for bank to go for their own disruption and look for the situation where they can take on head-on with something called big tech companies, maybe GAFA, Google, Amazon, or your Facebook and Apples, or fintech companies. So we are working in a ecosystem of BBF, where we have a bank, we have a big tech companies, and we have a fintech company. Each one carving out their own space and taking out value from one to another place. In that situation, how do we visualize in future, unless a bank have a digital talent to address that, either from market or through the acquisition? Is that related to banking, or we need to change holistically education system including to address this future?
More than a question, what you have just stated is a fact. ये तो होना ही है. हम करें ना करें, जब सुनामी आएगा, आप यदि सुनामी के सामने खड़े रहोगे तो आपको बहा देगा. इसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है. देखिए, डिजिटल इकोनॉमी is now a fact. It's coincidence for our country that from 2014 there's been a huge emphasis of the government to take the economy digital. Cash transactions, when I say cash, I don't necessarily mean the number 2, the black cash. There is a white cash also, cash. Transactions has to reduce. If you see any developed economy, the cash transactions are much limited than us. After all, in our country, even credit cards, till few decades back, credit cards were hardly there. But credit card जो आया आज इतना peak में है, वो भी खत्म होगा, जो I just said a little while back. So our entire system, whether it's the banks or the financial companies, have to gear going in for cashless money. Mobile has changed our life. One business which has got directly impacted with mobile is news. Magazines are virtually out of fashion. Newspapers, before you pick up the newspaper in the morning, you've read everything, you know what has happened at 5 a.m., the newspaper is only printed at 12 midnight. So this mobile phone has changed our life, and it's going to change our financial life too.
Traditionally in India, if you see the bankers, they have been doing services on a vertical approach. From top to down, everybody was providing services. Now there is a horizontal approach which is coming up because of your fintech companies. And they are in a particular pie, they just serve there. For instance, I'll give an example. Two people approached me recently where they said, I asked them that what is your business and what are the audiences probably you were looking for. So one of them says that he's a Henry. I was shocked, what is this Henry? He says, high earners, not yet rich is my business. The other one said he's a dinkies. So I said, what the dinkies is? So they say that double earners or no kids. So they are looking into that segment, and they start with this, and then they want to capture the whole world. Like as you, CCG rightly said, that transactional banking is the one which is the safest and gives the maximum money. It's being taken away by all these fintech and big tech companies. So how you see in future these banks, traditional banks, which I see with a existing staff strength, and their inclination towards the digital banking, how they're going to address, because they have the technology. I find there is a big problem on this human resource side.
So I think, one needs to think of this from the point of view of the Indian consumer. That for the Indian consumer, the best thing is that there are many options available, and the Indian consumer doesn't care. The bulk of the population should not be caring, and therefore the government should not be caring on trying to protect either bank or bank jobs, but that the country is served best by whoever is able and wanting to come up with solutions. So which is why fintech companies have come up, and the objective of regulating them, regulating the payment system, to some extent it has been biased towards banks initially, but now more and more, as data was given by Shishirji, that more and more, we are adopting mobile wallets, we are adopting technology which allows ease for the consumer.